For me, one of the biggest mantras that I've always run my life with is the return of failure is learning. Okay? So I've never been fearful of failure. I've always said, at the end of the day, I'm going to learn something, and that's so invaluable. I love the startup world. I love the startup community. I think I have a very, very strong startup mentality and
a top level advice to startup owners.
Firstly, I find it very interesting that most startup founders believe they are marketeers.
The India PR Show is a video podcast series. We dive deep into the strategies, the stories, the triumphs of communication and marketing experts who are shaping the narrative in one of the world's most diverse and rapidly evolving markets, India. Today, we are talking to Bidisha Nagaraj, Global Vice President Marketing of Schneider Electric. She has over 3 decades of experience across companies like Compaq, Intel, Google, Cafe Coffee Day, and now for the last 7 years at Schneider Electric. She speaks about her career, the high, the lows, the learnings, her latest work, work-life balance, things she believes in, what's next in her career, and of course, lots on PR. Hi, Bidisha. Welcome to the India PR Show. Thank you so much for taking out the time to join us today.
Totally my pleasure.
Bidisha, I want to start with talking to you about your journey so far, starting with, your career over 3 decades, right? From non-consumer durable, information technology, F&B, startups. What are the biggest milestones that you've seen in your journey of these 3 decades?
I mean, it's firstly, I don't know how the 30 years have gone by, or 29 years. It's, when I look back, I feel that I have dabbled across many categories, like you said. For me, one of the biggest mantras that I've always run my life with is the return of failure is learning. Okay? So I've never been fearful of failure. I've always said, at the end of the day, I'm going to learn something, and that's so invaluable. If I look at my 30 years, I think there's been a constant behavioral pattern of mine that has gone through the 3 decades, and that's really been passion. That's really being purpose. That's really being get up and saying, I need to contribute to something, to the company, to the planet, to the world, to my family. The sense of I make myself very important to the world more than the world makes me feel important, right? I feel that I'm indispensable to this world. And that has kept me going. I have to say that luck has played a very important role in my career. I do not want to discount the role of luck in my life. And I've had some fabulous, fabulous people that I worked with, my managers, my team, my agencies. So overall, it's been fantastic. I mean, I've been in the corporate world. I am in the corporate world now. I've been an entrepreneur twice. I've been a marketing advisor to startups. I'm a mom of an 18-year-old. So yeah, I feel it's been interesting so far.
I'm working hard, and you have been talking about how people should take their work seriously, work hard, but you also talk about having fun.
Yeah.
Right. And
I think, today, and Nidhi, we were having this conversation earlier that we are all witnessing, even before the pandemic, and of course, after the pandemic, things have even accelerated, is burnouts are such a epidemic today, right? If you really deconstruct burnouts, right? Again, I'm not a medical professional in this space, but I've seen and experienced enough number of people. I've lost my mom and mom-in-law to Alzheimer's dementia. I've hung out with neurologists to know a little bit about mental health. I think in our case, I would like to delineate between mental health and mental fitness.
Right.
And I think we should all be at our age group, should be in the mental fitness journey, right?
Right.
Now, so therefore, when I say that you need to have fun, what I mean is that, look, working hard can never be old-fashioned, right? You need to work hard.
I love that.
You need to work hard. There's no negotiation on that, because when you work hard, trust me, work will start loving you.
Many people know about your entrepreneurial journey and, the fact that you've founded 2 startups. You played a very active marketing advisory role to startups like Taxi for Shaw, Maskalandar, Qkey. You continue to be an angel investor to many startups. So how has that journey been with, the whole startup ecosystem? Because when the time you were very actively involved in startups, startup world had not seen the growth that it has now.
I love the startup world. I love the startup community. I think I have a very, very strong startup mentality and DNA within me. So I jumped into the idea of advising. I did Mast Kalandar, I did Simply Learn, I did Taxi, I did Qkey. In Qkey, there were the 2 creative stalwarts, Shekhar Kapoor and A.R. Rahman, to work with. I mean, who would say no, right?
A top level advice to startup owners.
Firstly, leaders. I find it very interesting that most startup founders believe they're marketeers, right?
Yes,
so,
they do.
So we have some work to do there. Look, I don't know what the right formula is. I've seen companies burn money trying to scale, trying to go mass. Never looked at the bottom line, that the entire VC fraternity, which is pumping you and forcing you and pushing you and energizing you to do it, right? I mean, so that's one approach where you go boom, 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 performance marketing. You put in money, you try to look at an ROI, you create cohorts, and you don't look at how much, you don't look at return on investment, you look at investment.
Right.
Then you have another stream where there's a very strong focus on the bottom line. And I personally believe that that's the traditional way businesses have been built. And that cannot be old-fashioned, right? So where you constantly look at, if I've spent 100, how much am I getting back, right? And I need to constantly look at the gross margin. I need to constantly look at that. I hope that is not suffering, because that's going to make me as a company stay here for a much longer time. Then there is also categories of products where the decision-making process is a little longer, right? Furniture, I mean, there's so many products, right? Where you need the brand to be more pervasive. You need to be able to see what the brand is, who the brand is, testimonials, credible stories. At that stage, somebody's telling you 20% off is irrelevant, right? So really depends on what your category of your business is in, what stage of your business is in, which life cycle you are in. And I don't think the verdict is out, which is what is right and what is wrong. No, there is nothing like that.
So talking about successful campaigns, Bidisha, one of your recent, not so recent, but in the last 2 years, Green Yodha campaign has seen global success. There were industry leaders, media, policy makers, everybody talking about it. And, so can you talk to us about the campaign, how you built it, and, how did you kind of envision that campaign?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I think there was a team. All of us sat together and sort of worked on the campaign. But really, I think the big question one December that we asked ourselves at Schneider Electric, at India, was that we talk about sustainability. We want to save the planet. We want people to do something about it. But hey, let's ask ourselves the big question that firstly, does everybody know what the meaning of sustainability is? Two is, what should be my role? I understood what sustainability is. I understood that I want to save the world. I understood the fact that I'm not Greta Thunberg. But what can be my role? How do I change the world, right? So that was a starting point. And we realized the problem statement was no, people don't know. We did a little research and people said, yeah, sustainability is how do you define sustainability? Well, sustainability is to be leading a sustainable life. Okay, what does that mean? Pauses, long pauses, right? So that was a very, very good starting point for us, saying in India, we need to first explain to people and demystify the concept of sustainability. And the fact that there is not that person who's going to save the world, it's you. Action starts with you, right? So the Green Yodha campaign is a strong movement that urges homeowners, companies, manufacturing units, airports, railway stations, whichever sector you are in, it urges communities, people to come together to save the planet and to hand over a better planet for our next generation. Now, the question is, how do we do it and how do we demystify it? So the Green Yodha campaign, firstly, the name Green Yodha,
the warrior.
Of course, it's a separate thing that in the US, a lot of people thought it was Green Yoda, which is a Star Wars character and all of that. But it has, I feel quite fulfilled because I think it has stirred a movement. I think it has people in their own right and might have come forward to say, tell me more. Okay. And where Schneider Electric comes from is from the segment of energy. We're not into water, or we're not into other segments. We are in the segment of energy. And what we are saying is that today, if you look at homes and buildings, contribute to 20%, actually 30% of carbon emission of this world, which means our usage of energy is polluting the world because there's carbon utilization, because solar is not in, we are using fossil fuel, etc. And therefore, we need to do something about it. And therefore, there's a big call to action. We have technology that makes, driven through AI, it makes homeowners able to look at the energy I'm consuming on my phone, able to manage it, able to conserve it, right? Similarly with, other sectors. So the Green Yodha movement actually has made people sit up and realize, saying, we need to do something today for our kids to have a decent planet, at least as decent as us. Because if you look at climate change today, there's winters are getting warmer. There's torrential rainfall at all times, right? So we are in a very, very, if you really study what's happening to the world and what's happening to the planet, Nidhi, it is scary.
Right.
It is scary to the point that, we have to keep our fingers crossed, or the decision is do something about it.
Yeah, still, people are aware sustainability is a cool word to use, but adoption, that's not happened. People are still used to whatever they were used to.
Yeah.
So that call to action, that still is a far ask.
Yeah. And, sometimes call to action happens through an emotional driver and not through a rational driver. And that's what Green Yodha is making an impact. In fact, the Green Yodha campaign across the world, we're calling it the impact maker.
Green Yodha as a campaign is no more just a campaign, right? It's a movement, it's a community. And I see that Green Yodha is a business unit. There is training, there's a school. So I can see so many pillars to the campaign. So how did that happen? You started this with the vision for it to become a profitable business unit, or was it?
No, absolutely. I mean, on this one, we had envisaged a complete movement which was backed by technology, backed by social presence, backed by numbers, backed by data, backed by a huge marketing campaign, which is not just advertising, but getting communities together to go to cities, getting the CXOs together, talking about why sustainability is important, starting a program in schools, which we call Conserve My Planet, which is some of the education and mindset of sustainability needs to happen at the school level. So we go to schools, we teach kids the importance of energy, the importance of switching off a light, the importance of using less energy, the importance of going in a bus rather than going in a car all alone, the importance of carpooling, right? So with the Green Yodha campaign, it was a large plan that is gradually unfolding. I mean, the campaign itself is only 2 years old, but as the years go by, we will see it unfolding even more.
Right. Coming close to, PR, this is the India PR show, and I have to ask you, you worked with agencies in India, APAC, globally. Could you talk to us a bit about, what are the differentiators that you see with the work that you're doing with Indian agencies versus others? And this is purely from a growth perspective, that, having a perspective of what we can do better on what we are already doing well.
It's a great question, very thought-provoking question, because I think PR, the journey of PR, from what I've seen in the last many years, firstly, I've also been privileged to work for companies where we've built the brand at the back of PR, right? We've not built the brand at the back of advertising. So whether it's Google, whether it's Coffee Day, whether it's Intel, whether it's Compaq, PR has played a very, very important role in dissemination of the brand values. The PR agencies in India and the PR agencies globally that I'm working with, it's interesting because when we ask for a pitch of a particular campaign or a story or whatever, I see that a lot of agencies in India, not all, a lot of PR agencies in India come with more the approach of what kind of media should we carry the story in, what should be the journalists who we should pace, etc., who we can woo to write these big stories, etc., which is great, which is very important. But what I find the emphasis outside of India is also to start with a story,
right?
And everything else follows from the story. And I'm not saying we in India or Indian agencies don't do it. We do it.
There are some who,
but I think the fact that come to the business with a story, get a sign off on the story, and rest follows, right? Then you say, if this is the overarching story, how do I break it up into nuggets of smaller stories? Some stories need long format, some stories need short format, right? But I find that shift between the approach of storytelling versus the approach of content dissemination.
Yeah, tactical stuff versus...
Yeah, a little bit. So I think, but of course, there's some great stories coming out of India as well. So stop looking at silos between this is PR and this is advertising and this is social media and this is that, all that, right? I think it's just one big content bucket today, one big storytelling bucket today. What is the problem you're solving with your business? How do you tell your story convincingly, credibly, in an authentic way to the consumer? And there ought to be lots of strong overlaps between PR, advertising, thought leadership, etc. So it's a wonderful time that
exactly.
we are seeing this transformation, and to be able to steer this transformation. I think PR has a very, very important role because, I will believe a story more than I believe an ad. I mean,
That's
although
for
my
sure,
career
yeah.
is in advertising, it's that age-old saying that goes, right, that when you're selling something to a consumer, the consumer will remember you not for what you told him. The consumer will remember you for how you made him feel.
Yes,
right?
true.
So, and that statement should go across PR, advertising, thought leadership, all of that. So I think we need to look at it as a continuum rather than look at it in pieces.
And PR over the years has evolved so much, along with, any other marketing function. If you see earlier days, it was all about doing a press conference and just calling people and relationships. And, now to it's so much of influencer marketing and, content creation that's coming in. And, PR is continuously taking a bigger pie of the marketing share. But, at Schneider, how do you look at PR, and with the changing roles of PR? How is PR at Schneider?
I mean, again, we really believe in the power of storytelling. We start everything with what we call the manifesto, whether it's a product launch, whether it's it's talking about the overall Schneider story. We start with the manifesto, and then we look at how do we tell the story. And of course, at Schneider Electric, it's very interesting. One company that I've worked for where the target audience spans from an electrician to a CEO and everybody in between, right? So we have lots and lots of people we need to talk to, we need to influence, etc. But PR, again, the way we look at it is reinstating our leadership through thought leadership in a very big way. And then once that forms a brand umbrella of credible storytelling, and whether you want to call it PR, you want to call it, communication, digital, you want to call it advert, whatever. I mean, we don't look at it. We don't start saying, okay, what is your PR plan and what is your advertising plan? We don't do it that way. We say, this is the story that needs to be authentically communicated. Now let's look at how we're going to do it. And we get sometimes the PR agency and advertising agency to do a workshop together, and they come back to us as one team. So I think, so again, it depends from different countries to country, but overall, communication is very important for us. We also believe internal communication is very important, because every single employee is a brand ambassador, right? And what's the point in telling the outside world if our internal employees don't know about something? So for us, we weigh as much importance to external communication as much as internal communication, and both work in tandem. Sometimes we have previews where we only do with internal comms people, get our employee base excited before we externally communicate. So communication is a very, very important pillar for Schneider Electric. And we have some great people who are spearheading the entire movement.
I want to talk to you a bit about measuring impact, and not only PR impact, but how how are you looking at measuring impact? It's no more advertising value versus the size of the article you've got. It's a lot more. So what is it? What are the best practices at Schneider to measure impact? Maybe PR and maybe largely PR.
Yeah. At Schneider, we have a very interesting model called brand to order. Okay. What that model does is whatever you are doing, whatever is the a marketing mandate, it needs to, the entire marketing mandate needs to address the three pillars of brand and how does brand convert to orders. Simple, right? So what are you doing to reinstate the brand and to make awareness and to create trust, create credibility? How are you doing it using digital tools, etc., etc.? How are you increasing engagement? How are you looking at the whole funnel? And that's the order piece. How are you looking at the funnel? What is at the top of the funnel? What is at the bottom of the funnel? How do you get marketing to move the funnel? So that then helps us look at marketing not just as a communication driver, but a huge business driver. And I think that is a big transformation that I've personally seen marketing in the last 30 years, where every single marketeer today is thinking about how do I move the needle from a business standpoint? How do I increase demand? How do I make it easy for customers to buy? So we look at the whole end-to-end journey. So from a measuring specifically a PR, we look at a social listening, a web crawler tool, where on a daily basis, we look at what is the awareness and share of earned media scores vis-a-vis competition. So we're not looking at it as an isolation, we're looking at it vis-a-vis competition. And then we look at what does this translate into? Has this translated into higher engagements in social media? Has this translated into more calls to my call center? Has this translated into my salespeople having it easy when they call into customers? So no, of course, it's not advertising value, but it is looking at how does brand communication, firstly, how are we doing vis-a-vis competition through this tool? We look at the number of articles across languages, etc. And then what is the impact of this to orders, as we call brand to order?
Right. I have to ask you this, and I think you would have been asked this a lot of times. But with AI, the world is not the same, and I'm sure marketing at Schneider is also not the same. So, what are the tools that you all are working with, and how has AI impacted the whole marketing team? And what are the new things that AI brings to the table at Schneider?
I mean, AI has taken the world to a different level, right? I personally am a huge user of AI. I use AI for content building personally many times in a day, right? Now, the question is AI numbing me or is AI inspiring me? And I use it as an inspirational tool, right? I think, like you said earlier, storytelling needs to be authentic, which AI probably can't do it, right?
Yeah.
But AI can certainly be used for inspiration. I mean, when you have a writer's block or when you want to get started and you're just falling short of finding that one right word, I mean, AI can play a great role. The second thing is we are even experimenting with AI creating films in a day, right? It's a great efficiency of time. It's a great efficiency of cost. I mean, why would companies not want to adopt it? We're looking at using the metaverse for communicating product experience.
Right.
Yeah. So you come to our website and you just, even, I mean, we're not in the business of selling cosmetics or toys, right? We are in the business of heavy energy management tools. But even to see how the circuit breaker in the entrance of your house is making sure that you live a safe life, because that circuit breaker is making sure power that comes into your house is filtered. Now that is heavy stuff to communicate, but if you visually communicate it in an interesting way where AI helps you create this film in a day, it's making it so much more believable. So I think AI is, we are going to all watch this space. We are watching this space for more, but it is going to take the world to a very, very, very efficient level, I think. I don't think it's going to replace what humans can bring to the table, but we're here to see great efficiencies with AI, for sure.
Bidisha, your current role at Schneider, it's a global role. So obviously the cultural landscape for different countries that you're working with, how does that impact your marketing playbook?
It's a large canvas, and there is diversity of people, of age group, of thoughts, of cultural nuances, etc. So it's very interesting. But honestly, our marketing playbook doesn't really change too much. Actually, Schneider Electric prides itself to be called the most local of the global companies. So while we are a global company, we make sure that marketing, is not top down from global, and then the countries need to sort of take that and run it in their countries regardless of the nuance of the country. We don't do it that way. What we do is we put together a set of guidelines, and then locally, whichever country you are in, we pick it up and develop communication that's relevant for the local nuance, local cultural nuance. So it's not, it's traditionally companies, a lot of global companies that I've worked for have a top-down approach. Ours is actually very bottoms-up.
Bidisha, how do you encourage innovation within your marketing team, right? From experimentation, creativity, adaptation is very important pillars to marketing. So how do you encourage that in your team?
Yeah, well, innovation is a very interesting word, right? Because innovation, the word innovation, it means movement. It doesn't mean that you innovate once and that's going to take you for the next 10 years. The way we look at innovation is, how does it keep transforming itself, right? Today, what we believe is innovative may not be innovative in the next quarter, and so on and so forth. But if I break down innovation into product innovation, marketing innovation, sales innovation, there are different varieties of innovation. But what I'd like to say is, from a marketing innovation standpoint, there's a phenomenal idea sharing, that goes on between countries, between agencies of countries. And we also believe that cross-sharing and infiltration of campaigns, of marketing best practices work beautifully between countries, depending on the nuances, right? So, for example, what I'm developing in India, will that work in China? From a marketing innovation standpoint, may not be.
Right.
But what I'm developing in India may actually work with South America.
Right.
So what we try and do is we try and club cultural closeness between countries, and then we run innovation workshops quite rapidly to see. And the beauty is, the innovation workshops have people from very, very diverse age groups, backgrounds, mindsets. So to that extent, innovation is something which is very real, very live, and then we test innovation. That's another very important thing. We have lots of tests that go on, research, usability tests that go on to seeing whether it's just innovative because we believe it's innovative, or it really does solve a problem.
What is it that you do in terms of your leadership style, and what is it that you can help others, with the leadership trait that you bring to the table? I'm sure that I have loved my interactions with you over, I think, 15 years now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I always remember those little conversations that we've had. You've never treated our relationship as, what did you deliver, in terms of work-wise, but it's so much more.
Yeah. I think I can say I've probably learned from the best. I've had some of the best managers in the last so many years uh, who I have learned from. I've seen the way they have interacted with people, I've seen the way they engage with agencies. So I've learned from the best. I have to say that. Now, I think again, as a person, I'm highly curious. I'm curious about everybody. I'm curious about what she's looking at her in her phone right now. I'm curious about everybody's backstory. I love it. I love going through Instagram reels and just figuring out backstories. I mean, I'm just curious about people. That helps because then my interaction with people in many cases and in most cases is at an emotional level. It's not at a transactional level. Because I also feel that in marketing, the best marketing product comes out of partnership and collaboration. And that can only happen if there is a sense of irrationality in relationships. That can happen if there's humor in relationships. That can happen if there's beyond what the brief is and what I'm delivering. That's important. But I also feel that the best work and the best product can come out of a stress-free environment. Whether it's my colleagues, whether it's the way I like to be treated by my managers, it's by our agencies. I think stress-free environment and stress-free output is something that in my so many years has always been at a quality par excellence. And I follow that, and I find it obnoxious when I do see a lot of leaders treating teams without respect. I believe as a leader, I follow the 2 I's very, very strictly. One is, I think, as a leader, my role is to inspire my team, and I need to be a role model of integrity. So I follow this very, very arduously, and I have a zero tolerance policy as far as treating people bad. I can't do it. I will not do it, because I think everybody brings something to the table that somebody else can learn from. And if you start in that playing field, then you can't disrespect anybody, because everybody is your teacher in some way or the other.
This toxic work culture, is there. And I think that also is leading to mental health issues that people are having. And, we've had a lot of interactions where we've spoken about, mental health. And I think for you worked out every single day of your life, as far as I know. You don't look 55. I don't know if there's anything called looking 55, but, you've... So how do you keep yourself mentally strong, physically active? Because there are times when work takes over. So what is that secret recipe that Bidisha follows, which we could just give to people to be able to, live a very, mentally healthy and physically healthy life?
I think it goes back to my childhood. I've gone to a school where sports has been a very, very important part of our lives. I've represented my school in hockey and basketball, etc., and that has stayed with me. So physical activity is my second skin. I mean, even in my travels, when I don't have the time to hit the gym, I walk. There's something that I do, because I feel that in the second mountain that I'm trying to climb now, women especially go through a lot of hormonal stuff, right? And the only way you can keep balance is if you physically are active. Now, physical activity can be different definitions to different people, but it is very, very important that to keep your mental stability, you need to, without compromise, without self-negotiation, You need to do whatever you like. But, some days when I'm lazy, I tell myself, I literally talk to myself saying that, you mean you can't give 45 minutes to yourself
Yeah.
to,
Right.
to jump around, to go to the gym, to run, to walk? How ridiculous is that? Will you? And if I don't give that 45 minutes, then I'll trade it off in eating right. So I think physical fitness, mental fitness go hand in hand. Again, I've managed to be around for 30 years, and unfortunately in India the retirement age is 60. I'm not happy about it, but I think when I reach 60, I'm going to climb my third mountain, because then it's a new charter, right, that I'm going to follow. And maybe there are going to be movements that I will do. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm definitely not ready to hang my boots. And the reason for that is I keep myself physically fit to the extent I can. Look, I'm not here to look like a 20, and it's not about physical appearance. It's about how you feel, how alert are you, how can you handle situation without losing it. How do you not take stress? And how do you decipher between looking at something, saying, this is a job, let me not take it personally.
Bidisha, what next from you? Obviously, I love the fact that you're not looking at retiring at 60 and you're going to have a new benchmark for retirement or so-called continuing your work. So what next from Bidisha?
I don't know, Nidhi, I really don't know. I've experimented with so many categories. I've done so many things. I don't know. Maybe my third mountain is probably going to get into films. I don't know.
I'm really looking forward to what's going to be next for you.
Thank you.
And Bidisha, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to us. Just talking to you has inspired me so much. And, I'm sure that everybody that's listening in, has learned something more than they knew. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Nidhi, for having me. Like I said, that it'll be, even if I've managed to inspire and influence one person through this show, and like I said, physical fitness, mental fitness, don't burn yourself silly, take yourself lightly. There's a big life outside of work. And while you're at work, enjoy it. Otherwise, don't do it. If you're not enjoying it, go do something else. Because a lot of people I find saying, but I have to make money, I'm a breadwinner. Yes, you are. But if that particular job is not giving you passion and not giving you fulfillment, move to another job. Of course, all of us are breadwinners. All of us, in our own capacity, need to make money.
And struggles are different for everybody.
Struggles are very different for everybody, and all of us need to be respectful. But if you're doing something, love it, or don't do it. No problem. There are 20,000 other jobs there for you. But thank you, Nidhi. It was very interesting conversing with you once again. Our engagement and relationship goes back 15 years.
I know.
And we've seen us through many, many peaks and many phases of our life. So thank you for having me in this show.
The pleasure was all mine. I have to take that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.